carnivore dieters like to say that plants don't like, wait a minute, plants don't want to be eaten. And obviously animals also don't want to be eaten because they have like teeth and claws and they run away. But plants can't do those things, and so they employ chemical warfare, and that's what makes them unhealthy for us. Our bodies aren't meant to take that stuff in. And I've been having a big think about that, and I would like to share it with you today. It's actually been a really beautiful fall here in Pennsylvania. Often it's mostly very gray. There'll be like 2 weeks where there's several sunny days, and then it'll just start being gray, and then it'll be gray for like 5 months straight. But we've had a lot of sun. It's been pretty nice. So yeah, I'm having a big think about this. Let me know what you think. Okay, I can do this. The big think is in my head. Getting it out of my mouth, I find exceedingly difficult for some reason. Okay, so we have a really tiny little garden that we put in this year, and didn't really get to do much with it because we didn't finish the fence in time. And here's what happened. We started putting in the fence, didn't get it finished, and then I was like, well, it's time to plant stuff, so I'm just gonna plant stuff anyway and see what happens. And yeah, so about a week after that, of course, wild animals found their way in and consumed, everything I planted, which wasn't that much. But they ate, everything down pretty darn far. And so it's like, oh, bummer, right? But look at this freaking tomato plant. It's getting, it's in November now, so it's already starting to die back or whatever. It is the most insane tomato plant I've ever seen in my life. I've never grown like full-size tomatoes. I hope you can hear me with the wind, sorry. I've never grown full-size tomatoes, just like cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes. This is a grape tomato. And it became a veritable jungle unto itself, right? It got so big, it was taking up this entire little bed, basically. I trimmed a whole bunch of it off, and it continued to grow even more. And this is after it had been eaten down to like very little of it left, right? Same thing with the flowers. I think they're marigolds, I forget. But animals ate them down to like, a stem. And they grew back, and they're all dead now, I'm sorry. But they were like big, bushy, flowered things. Whatever. And it's gotten me thinking about this, how, carnivores generally will acknowledge that fruit is the one thing that does want to be eaten. Like, it seems like it was designed for that purpose. The plant creates the fruit, so it will be eaten, and the seed within the fruit will spread. So fruit wants to be eaten, but they'll say, okay, it doesn't necessarily mean it wants to be eaten by humans, other animals. It might be better suited for other animals, but also it's highly seasonal, whatever, right? But I never really hear anybody talking about the fact that plants do something very different from animals. And that is, they respond really positively to damage that for an animal would be like debilitating or deadly, right? If you've ever grown plants or cared for plants, you know that pruning is an important part of that. I've got some fruit trees over here too. You need to prune them every year because you get better production that way. My mom grew a few plants on her back patio this year, and she was telling me about her collard greens. She brought me some, she says, yeah, I keep picking the leaves off and then they grow a bunch more leaves. And I was thinking about how plants do this and how it's so different from the way most animals work. Like there's some exceptions in like insects and whatever, but and I guess bivalves maybe. But anyway, plants, like if you want a plant to grow more vigorously, to grow better, to produce more, you have to prune it. You damage the plant. And it really seems like a plant can be damaged like tons of it, most of it can be taken away, can be removed from the plant, from the base plant. And that makes it, as long as it's not like too much and the rest of the conditions are right, that makes the plant grow like even more, you know? It responds really favorably to this kind of damage, which to me suggests that they were designed to provide sustenance, because the more you take from them, the more they give, basically. Whereas with animals, like, you know, you don't cut off an animal's leg and eat it and then it grows 4 more legs, right? Like, you have to kill the animal. It has one life. You kill it. That's what you have to do to eat it, right? Like, if you lose an arm, you don't grow more arms. You're just disabled for the rest of your life, you know? So, like, I just never hear anybody talking about this. Even the fruitarians, you know, it's funny because fruitarians say the same thing. They're like, fruit is the food that wants to be eaten. No other food wants to be eaten. But it's like, well, but like, what is this about then? Why does like every plant basically grow more vigorously and produce more vigorously in response to pruning, to, you know, having their pieces of them removed, right? Like, that seems to mean that that's what they're for, you know? Doesn't it? Oh, am I crazy? What do you think? The carnivores talk about the, you know, plant toxins that are so bad for us and that we're not meant to consume. You know, they say that maybe, like, all of this doesn't necessarily mean that humans are meant to consume plants. It just means maybe that other animals might be meant to consume plants. So, you know, none of this is like an airtight case or whatever, but I just find it very interesting. And, you know, the so-called plant toxins, well, you can explain that by saying, as, you know, many people do, that it's a form of hormesis, right? It's like exercise or cold or heat, you know, the toxic elements, the mildly toxic elements of edible plants provide a small amount of stress for your body, but then it makes your body stronger, right? Like, that makes sense to me. I think, you know, the big issue is that so many people are so unhealthy and their guts are so unhealthy that they can't handle those, you know, the small amounts of toxins that if you had a healthy gut and a healthy body, it would actually just provide, you know, it would provide that hormetic effect for you, right? So, yeah, that's my big think. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I an idiot? Have you heard anyone talk about this? Because I have not. I really need to pull out my big tomato plant. I need to care for this garden. Like, yeah, it's nutso. Like, look at this. Like, it's already dying back. It's still got so many tomatoes that never got to ripen because, you know, unfortunately with it getting eaten up at the beginning of the season, it's, you know, a lot of the fruits, you know, started coming out later or whatever. But we did get a lot. Like, we got a lot from it. So, like, I mean, it's nuts, dude. It's nuts. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.